Joe Burrow is practicing in full, ladies and gentlemen. What does it mean? We're digesting it live. I don't know. Does it mean he plays this week? It's quite possible. Now, of course, all of the values go up across the board. Bengal players, no doubt about it. But you still have dilemmas if you have 4 or 5 wins and you can't afford Jamar Chase to miss a game. So there's that dilemma for some of you. There's definitely an uptick in Chase Brown value, an uptick in T. Higgins value. There's an uptick for this Bengals team overall, but there's still question marks, like I said, for those of you that are in dire straits and you got to make a crazy hard left when you're supposed to be making a hard right because you can't afford to have Jamar Chase out a week. We'll break it all down. We got some options for you, but certainly great for all Bengal boys. Let's hit that Bengal button. Where's it at? Where's it at? Right here?
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Stack above all stacks. It's time to drop the pancake emojis in the live chat.
Now, there's still a lot that we don't know. You know, we really don't have a clue as to how this is going to go. This news just broke. So it's not like we know whether he's playing or not. Everything I have here, this is earlier today. Bengals coach Zach Taylor was asked if there's a scenario where Joe Burrow comes back for the Patriots game. He said Burrow hasn't done 11 on 11 yet. And until we get through some practices, there's no reason for me to even speculate on that. So that's why we need to pump the brakes slightly on this. Okay, we don't for sure have any sort of indication that Joe Burrow is playing week number 12, and that's coming from Zach Taylor. So if Zach Taylor's telling you until he plays an 11 on 11, we can't even speculate, we got to assume Joe Burrow might miss one more game. But this is great news for next week. You know, we were wondering if he could come back in week 13. We weren't really sure. Now we are pretty confident that he's playing week 13. Are we confident he's playing week 12? I would say it's 50-50. I know everybody wants me to say he's playing, he's not necessarily playing. But Flacco's also banged up right now. That could have some influence on rushing the 11 on 11. But we'll see. Also, there is a lot of, and I agree with some of the comments that I'm seeing right now. There's a lot of, Bashal Tutin news. Bashal Tutin limited in practice Wednesday. At least he's not ruled out or considered week to week or something like that. But I do agree with some of the comments in the chat that I'm seeing where it's like, don't rush him back. It's stupid. You're going to get him injured. He's going to have some sort of relapse. I do kind of agree with that. I think that starting Joe Burrow in week number 12 does have an added layer of risk. Okay, so to summarize, those of you filing in right now, about 300 of you total in here already. You guys are filing in. First of all, we got 5 gifted memberships from Zach McLean. Appreciate you, my boy, for dropping the 5 gifted memberships.
You've just been...
For those of you, and Benson, this news is trickling in. Benson looked pretty good. I've got more of that at 8 p.m. Benson was out there doing drills and not just like jogging. He was like doing some nice hard cutting, and so Benson looked pretty good. His 21-day window opened. I don't know that he'd play this week, but he's also maybe a candidate to play next week. We'll see how that progresses this week. Lamar Jackson did not practice today with an ankle injury. I still believe there's some solid buy low value in Lamar, no doubt about it, but there is also a lot of risk you're taking on. As for Joe Burrow, as I keep derailing my own conversation here, I'd probably say, even with Zach Taylor's comments here, I'd say it's more like 45% chance Joe Burrow plays this week. Let me read Zach Taylor's comments again. According to Ian Rappaport earlier today, Bengals coach Zach Taylor was asked if there's a scenario where Joe Burrow comes back against the Patriots game this Sunday, and Zach Taylor responded, he has not played until we get through some practices where he's playing on some 11-on-11. There's no reason to speculate on that. Let me put it back to 50-50. I think it's 50-50 that Burrow would suit up. Hard to say. Again, reckless. Some of it is reckless. Maybe he's ready, though. Just because we think it's reckless doesn't mean that it is reckless. We don't really know exactly how his toe is feeling. We can only speculate. We can only say, oh, it must be so bad that it's still probably at this stage in the recovery process. The truth is we don't know. We're not there. We're not sitting there with him in rehab and knowing exactly how strong he is. Maybe he's absolutely nearly 100%. And it's like, whoa, this thing's fantastic. He's going to have an insert in a shoe. He's going to be good. Everything's going to be good. We don't know. We have no idea. Not to mention he's a quarterback. Yeah, it's a problem, and it was painful, and they'll have measures in place to make sure it doesn't happen again. He might be a little less mobile. Not that he was the most mobile guy in the world, but he's starting to run a lot more since his ACL tear. He's starting to become like a 300 and like 4 touchdown type of guy. Thanks again, Husseini dropping a 5 gifted memberships. Husseini to the mother freaking moon. So again, in recap, probably 50-50 Joe Burrow plays this week. Maybe even less than that. We're being optimistic by saying 50-50. Zach Taylor saying we can't even get there yet. We need to get through some practices. But this is a uptick for Chase Brown, uptick for Jamar Chase, uptick for T. Higgins. Again, though, let's say you have Jamar Chase and you can't afford to take an L during his suspension, because for those that don't know or are sleeping under a rock, this man, Jamar Chase, is out for week number 12 because he's suspended for spitting on Jalen Ramsey, which he appealed and lost immediately because there's video footage of it. Video footage of him spitting on Jalen Ramsey, and he went and lied to the media and said, I never opened my mouth to that guy. And just being a very immature player that he is, suspended. Joe Burrow on the way up. Lots of conversations to be had. Hey, Smitty, I got 4 wins. I can't afford Jamar Chase to miss a game. I'll be out of the playoffs. Well, if you can still trade and you're in that situation, Bucky, it's intriguing. Maybe Bucky and something is more the issue. Let's see here. Let me rewrite this so that it looks right. So this would be Bucky plus something. Now that something is obviously going to be, the determining factor. Chase for Lamb, I'd do that in a heartbeat straight up. Chase for Rico and Pickens, Rico or Pickens, or Rico plus Pickens, take that in a heartbeat. Chase for Rice, I'd take that in a heartbeat. Again, if you cannot take an L, if you cannot take an L in week 12, these are your options. St. Brown, certainly a possibility. I don't mind that at all. Buka plus something. Hendy plus Adams. Hendy plus, what do we put here? Pickens? Hendy plus Pickens. I don't mind that at all. These are for people that can't wait on Jamar Chase. Now, what's this mean for Chase Brown walking into week number? Let's say Joe Burrow doesn't play. I think there's a chance that Chase Brown is trying to focus on using him. He sees a lot of 8-man fronts. He probably doesn't have the best game. Chase Brown exits week number 12, I believe, with probably a lot to be desired. But walking into the remaining part of the season, if Joe Burrow is under center, I really love where Chase Brown's value could be. I love how he could finish. So would I sell Chase Brown? I'd sell anybody. But I think I'm more apt to hold him or sell him high if someone sees this news and wants to overpay. Sure. But I think Chase Brown becomes pretty much a universal hold with the news that Joe Burrow's returning faster than normal. So Chase Brown, universal hold. Jamar Chase a hold, or probably not going to be able to buy him low anymore with Joe Burrow news. This news will make it to where you can't buy him low. You just can't. You can't even buy him medium rare. You can't, even off the suspended game, you probably can't buy him unless the owner, and this is investigative work you're going to have to do, unless the owner of Jamar Chase has 4 or 5 wins and they're like, I can't sit, I can't, just like we're saying, I can't take the L, then maybe you can buy him a little bit low. But for the most part, universal hold Chase Brown, sell high on anybody, but universal hold. Jamar Chase, sell if you can't lose or hold. Joe Burrow, make sure he's not on waivers. We have the waiver board right here for anybody that needs to have a nice quick shot of that. Burrow is on waivers in a weird amount of leagues. It just kind of depends on the format. Some of the super flex numbers are skewing it a little bit, but if I go into a random league here and I type in Joe Burrow, it looks like he's and waivers have processed, so probably got scooped up. It looks like his ownership is 76%. That's crazy that he'd be available in like 24% of leagues. So just check your waivers. Gonna be crazy. On Andrew, I just mentioned Lamar. All right, so let me get to these super chats and we'll break it down. And we got Husseini dropping those 5 gifted memberships. We also had Andrew, I believe. Who was it? Andrew? Who was it that dropped the other 5? No, I'm sorry, it was Zach. Zach McLean dropped 5 gifted. Husseini dropped 5 gifted. And then we've got these super chats here. One from Z, who said, I have London and got offered Collins. I would take Collins, bro. With the state of that freaking Falcons roster, I would definitely take Collins. Ron, appreciate you. PPR, Hall, and Diggs for JJ. I would rather have JJ in a vacuum, but it could definitely come down to position of need. It's pretty even. Diggs does add a dynamic to this that makes Hall a little safer, and JJ's a big name that we keep respecting, but at the end of the day, we still don't know. We still don't know if that is a player that is going to ever return to any sort of normalcy that JJ's normal, the normal JJ production at all, even a remnants of it, even like 80% of it. We don't know, but I mean, Hall's also in a similar volatile environment. It's not like Hall's in this place where he's not going to have ups and downs or the game script take him, out. So I'd probably lean toward JJ personally, but it would depend on position of need. Matta with a $20 hauler, 6-5, 12-team redraft, 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receivers, tight end flex, Mahomes, running back, Gibbs, Harvey, Marks, Kamara, Jamar Rice, JJ Wandell, was offered his Hendy for my Harvey, Woody. I'd take Hendy in a heartbeat. Or his Pittman for my Harvey and Wandell. I mean, this isn't even really close, bro. Hendy's a potential top 7 to 10 running back, maybe 6 to 12 running. You want to put a wide range in there, fine. 6 to 12 running back. It's not even close. Whereas this other side of this coin, I do like Pittman. I think it's pretty even. Pittman is safer if you need a receiver. Harvey still got huge upside going into a bye week, though. So I would say the Hendy one by 1,000 miles. And then if you had to do the other one, it would just be dependent on position of need. There's pros and cons to getting rid of Harvey. There's pros and cons to taking on Pittman for that value. Thank you for the super chat, young man.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Matt to the moon. Andrew, appreciate you. And Andrew, is this the same Andrew that had the question about Lamar? Let me see real quickly. If Andrew. It is. All right, Andrew, as far as my answer, I know I already talked about Lamar, and you did ask about that well, so I'll answer that in here. Offered Zay Flowers and Emmanuel Wilson for my JJ. I would keep JJ. There's no way I'm trading Justin Jefferson for Zay Flowers and Emmanuel Wilson. And Emmanuel Wilson might not even be that. Might help you, but for how long? And as for Lamar, and this is related because of Zay Flowers, and I appreciate your super chat, so I will answer this question again for you because you're the man. I'm worried about Lamar, but not at the cost of entry. Like, I'm still trading for Lamar. Is there risk involved? There's certainly risk involved because he's dealing with injuries, and injuries are always a concern. But, I mean, at the cost of entry, where are you buying Lamar right now? Wide receiver I'm sorry, quarterback maybe 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, no one's selling Lamar for a top 3 overall quarterback type of evaluation. No one's having to pay even top 5 QB value for Lamar in a trade. So the risk is all baked in. It doesn't matter how much we're like, but aren't you worried about this? Or what about this? Or what if he can't stay healthy? You're literally buying him outside top 5 QB value. This is one of the most no-brainer trade for players, I think, right now in fantasy, even with the risk you're taking on, because there's no way you're losing a league by trading for Lamar right now. If you can say, yeah, that trade cost me the league, then you overpaid and you didn't listen to a word I said. Not you, Andrew, but the person that goes and trades for Lamar at his old value. Yeah, you probably deserve to lose your league because you're not listening. Don't trade for Lamar at his draft value. He's worth half of that right now. The cost of Lamar is half of what he went on draft day. And so it's a baked in home run. But don't do that trade, bro. That trade's not good. The one that you have right here. Andrew, thank you for the super chat. Everyone's trying to get rid of JJ like he's nothing, though. I get that he's not playing at the same level, but Gesicki or Ferguson week 12? I mean, that doesn't, bro, you're not sitting Ferguson. Some of you guys are overthinking some shit, man. Just overthinking it. Trade Lamb and Marks for JSN. I would take JSN's the number 1 wide receiver in the league right now. So you take like Marks, bro, running back depth, but I'm wanting JSN. I think everybody should easily say JSN if they're asked that question. But it's not like it's not good value on both sides, and I do love Lamb, but drop JCM for Keaton Mitchell, sure. Yoshivas for Tillman, sure. I'd do both of those. I mean, make sure there aren't better players like Tootin out there, though. What's up, Smitty? You're the GOAT. No, you're the GOAT. 8-3, 10-man, half PPR. Baker, CMC, HN, ETN, Sharps, Waddle, Higgins, Jamo, Wandell, Keenan, Allen, Fannin, Caleb. Should I trade HN for Bijan? This is a player that we've been saying that if you were to, I would rather have Achane over Bijan right now. Chat, can I get a vote on that? It's not that I don't love Bijan. It's not that Bijan can't be better than Achane. But the state of the Falcons offense is about to get kicked in the nutsack. And while Bijan will still survive and be amazing, he will. He's top 5. Is he capable of overtaking Gibbs right now? No. Is he capable of overtaking CMC for as long as CMC continues to stay healthy? If he does, then CMC is going to continue to ball. No doubt about it. Then JT, no. Like JT, CMC, and Gibbs, and honestly, Achane, they're all above Bijan right now. It doesn't mean long term. It just means for weeks 12 through 17. Like, that question isn't even asking on the year, some total. Like, of course, we're not going to answer a question backwards, but this is a question for weeks 12 through 17. You know, so Achane is just worth more. Baker, CMC. Okay, so should I trade Achane for Bijan? So the answer is no. And your team's fantastic. I love where your squad's at, bro. It's really, really solid. J-Mo coming around. Would I trade Waddle and Higgins for like one player, one wide receiver? Sure. Rice, Igbuka. I think I focus on that, my boy. Waddle, Higgins, Caleb if they need a quarterback. I focus on trying to get 2 of those players turned into one slightly better receiver. BTJ for Burrow. Absolutely. If you need a quarterback, that's 100% a solid move. It is what it is, my boy. Start a Dunze versus Pitts or Higgins versus New England. Start a Dunze versus Pitts or Higgins versus New England. I'm going to go Higgins this week. Look, they're both like not the greatest matchups in the world, but I would say that I'm very much more concerned. And I hate sitting a Dunze. He could have 2 touchdowns and 100 yards any given game. But he can go missing because Caleb doesn't focus on him. Trade away Achane for Bucky and Chase Brown. I think that could work if you can survive the waiting game. If you can't survive, like you can't take an L or multiple L's, because what if we're still waiting on Bucky news too? Hopefully we have that by 8 p.m. I think Achan's better. I think Achan's a safer avenue, but if you needed this like double running back situation and it wouldn't knock you out of the playoffs if you had to wait a week on Bucky, which we're still waiting on, then I guess I'm okay with it. It's pretty even. Worried London owner, as you should be. Parasol Bauer's injury. Wait and see how it plays out, or a possible London value is highest right now during the confusion. So let me go to the board real quickly and just, this is again the trade board. And this right now, you can't really buy Chase anymore off of the new news. Chase is almost impossible to trade for now with Burrow coming back. He's a sell in the most optimal scenarios. If you are unable to lose, as I said, this suspended game is going to knock you out of the playoffs, then you can sell. But he's ultimately, right now, Chase is ultimately a universal hold. Chase Brown is a universal hold unless you're getting the world. I'd even say that it would be Buka, Pickens. I would say even JJ's not necessarily. We'll just take Chase Brown off of this board to avoid confusion. I don't think people are going to realize when to trade Chase Brown and when to hold him. Genty certainly traded for Dowdle, Buka, Pickens. The question at hand was, what was the question? The question was London. So London, I trade London for Price, for Dowdle, for Hendy, for Bucky, for Adams potentially. Any of those players, I would move London for. Dowdle would be great if you need a wide receiver. Even Adams and something, I'd try and get more. But Buka, Rice are probably your best bets to try and go get. Adams would be the cheapest. Pickens, I mean, Pickens is you consider it. You know, who here would rather have Pickens in London? It's okay if you'd rather have Pickens in London. No one's going to yell at you. Okay? But it's also okay to still love London. London's been a top. I think London's been the number one wide receiver, like, what's it been, 3 times this year? He's been in the top 2 or 3, depending on your scoring. 3 times. He's been unbelievable. So, vote on that one. London, Pickens, tell me who you'd rather have. I'm just curious. But, Alias, you definitely need to consider moving London if at all possible. It just depends on what you can get. All right, Smitty just got trade offer. My Hendy for Buka. I'd rather have Buka. You get Buka and Burrow. It's great. I love Hendy. Love him. But would I take Buka and Burrow? I probably would. But this could work out even for both sides. Just so you know, Hendy could be this good. But it's just a nice, safe, solid move. I have Chase, and my other running backs are Gibbs and Achane and Swift. So you're perfectly fine. It's a good, balanced swap for you. 0.5 Superflex moves to make. Mahomes, Goff, Barkley, Bucky, Rice, Adunze, Judkins. Love the team. Adunze and Barkley for like one slight upgrade. You could even roll with Judkins and Bucky if you can afford to potentially. I don't know if you've got Tucker or someone else that can step in. Maybe it's Munungai. But if you can afford or want to take the risk of week 12 if Bucky doesn't play, Adunze and Barkley for one wide receiver could even work, of the, Rice variety. But I think, standing down is also not a bad idea. You have, 3 really good running backs. I still believe in Adunze quite a bit. But Adunze and Barkley for one player probably would be what I would attack. I'd go after as high a player as I can go from Rice, at the wide receiver position to Achane type of player at that. I mean, look, Bijan can be had for crazy. What were the 2 running backs that you had? Was this it? Moves to make Mahomes, Goff, Barkley, Bucky, Rice. Okay, so it was Adunze and Barkley for, you got Rice already. Adunze and Barkley for Buka. Adunze and Barkley for what wide receiver? Let me give you a couple wide receivers and a couple of running backs. Barkley and Adunze for Lamb. Barkley, that might be, I mean, it would probably be Buka and something, though. You probably want to get something. Adunze and Barkley for Bijan. Adunze and Barkley for Achan. Adunze and Barkley for Cook and something. It'd have to be some sort of 2-for-2 combo in many of these cases. Look, Barkley and Adunze is pretty good. Would I give up Barkley and Adunze just for Rice or for Buka? I maybe I would. It's close though. All right, what was this last super chat? This is from trade away Achan for Bucky. I did that one. Eric, did I get yours? AJ Brown, Rice, Metcalf, Chase at wide receiver. I want a tight end, Kittle, Bowers, or a running back. I have Tracy Jr. and Kyron at running back. Who should I trade? Let's trade AJ Brown and Metcalf for one better player. Rice, Chase. What about AJ Brown? What running back could you get? AJ Brown and Metcalf. It's going to be tough, but like a Cook. AJ Brown and Metcalf for, I mean, you could trade AJ Brown for Genty if you wanted to get an RB in the building that has a lot of risk as well. AJ Brown's got risk. Chase Brown could have maybe been had before today. Still might be able to get him. But Jacobs might be somebody you could potentially go get. Breece Hall using AJ Brown. I think straight up you could try that. AJ Brown and Metcalf for a Cook. AJ Brown and Metcalf for a Judkins maybe. AJ Brown and Metcalf for a Bucky. AJ Brown and Metcalf for Barkley. AJ Brown and Metcalf for Henry. Those all make sense, Eric. Some of them are riskier than others, but it's worth it in some of those cases. Started Dunze versus Pittsburgh or Higgins. I think I already answered this one. I'd go Higgins slightly. Offer Herbert for Burrow. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Herbert, Burrow, Herbert. Can I get a vote on this one? Herbert was the number one quarterback in fantasy prior to week number 11, which was so wild. I probably lean toward, let's see what the chat says on that. Herbert, Burrow moving forward. Now, try and forget about everything that's happened because it doesn't really matter. And keep in mind that Burrow may not start this week. For anybody that's coming in late, Joe Burrow practiced in full, but it does not guarantee he's playing this week. He's 50-50 to play this week at best. Understand that if you're watching right now. And if you're making some sort of trade to get Burrow and you think he's going to start this week, I literally said at the top of the show, and I'll keep trickling this out in case somebody joins late and isn't watching the whole thing. Burrow is not a lock to play this week by any means. This means this is a really good sign for week 13, not week 12. He still could play week 12. Would you start Woody Marks or Emmanuel Wilson this week? I think it depends on the Emmanuel Wilson news, buzz, vibe, that situation. Right now, I lean Marks until I get some sort of news. It's a different league. I didn't trade JJ. Okay. So that's a call that's dependent on the news. Have Josh Allen. Do I need a backup QB Herbert? Do I need my backup QB Herbert? I mean, Dino, if injury strikes, are you going to lose everything because you won't be able to get Herbert back or any sort of competent quarterback? I'm always holding a backup quarterback. Look at all the injuries we've had this year. Mooney or Pearsall? I'd lean Pearsall for now. I mean, Mooney should be featured a lot. I guess, chat, vote on that. I just don't know that I trust the Falcons. They should get a lot of targets, but will they be catchable? Chat, vote Pearsall or Mooney this week. Do you go with Mooney because he's the main wide receiver option? Like, what are we doing here? They aren't going to rush him back. Not necessarily, but the odds are he will not. I would say it's 50-50 that he plays this week. The one reason that they would maybe rush him back is because Flacco's also banged up right now and limited. But if Flacco's able to go, they probably will play it safe. Thank you, DTX, for the super chat. Hard to trade in my league, says Harris. He says, I don't know. I guess you're just replying to somebody else. Parasol, but Mooney should be good with Kirk. We hope. Mooney's got a decent floor. Blake says, no, Smitty. I said they wouldn't rush Evans or Godwin back. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Blake. My bad. But I agree they won't rush Burrow back. But we don't know how good he is. Maybe he's really, really close. So it might not be that they're even rushing him back. Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs has given birth to a baby boy. Well, has he or has his significant other Cardi B? With Cardi B, this will be her fourth child and his first with Stephon. Diggs has 4 different babies, mamas. Congrats to the happy couple, says this report. So it looks like Cardi B had a little Stephon. Bucky, Hendy, Harvey, Kamara moved Dowdle for London. I mean, Isaac, I literally telling you over and over and over all day and yesterday and today that I'm taking London and turning him to Dowdle without a millisecond of thought. So I like London, and I understand you feel like you got a good surplus at RB, but I think I'm going after a different wide receiver, one that you're guaranteed to have so much time with. Now, next week we could be celebrating London's return. If you feel like London is not going to be a very big risk after this week, then I'm fine with you taking the gamble. But I would be, before I do this, if your sole focus is to get a wide receiver, I Smitty approve you doing it, but not until you maybe maximize other options. That would be my advice to you. Maximize your other options, my boy. Bucky, Hendy, Harvey. Oh, that's the one I just did. May or Allen. I'm never sitting Josh Allen, bro. Drake May is getting to that point too, but whenever you have Josh Allen on your team, he supersedes anybody. Have Stafford, would you pick up Goff or Brissett for backup? Probably Goff, because they're both pretty good. I'd say Goff. I know he played bad last week, but he's got a pretty good schedule going forward, and everything's going to be pretty good for Goff. I think Goff will be pretty consistent. I do like Brissett, but there's a lot of turmoil in Arizona. There's the Kyler lingering situation later in the year. Like, who knows what's going to happen. I do like Brissett, though. 14-man, 6-4, 1 flex. QB, Purdy, Dart. This is a $20 hauler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Appreciate you. 14-man, 6-4, 1 flex. QB, Purdy, Dart, A-Rod, Burrow, Gibbs, Hendy, Rico, Bucky, Hunt, Rice, Buka, Garrett Wilson, Michael Wilson, BTJ, Fannin. Trade ideas or stand down. JT owner has no QB. Thinking of Purdy and Rico. You're not getting, even in a super flex, you're not getting JT for Purdy and Rico. But Onion, if you pull that off, I'm not saying don't try, but if you pull that off, that would be crazy, bro. That'd be crazy. Yeah, Kyler Murray's probably played his last snap as a Cardinal. It's most likely the case. But Brissett's nice. I like Brissett, but Goff is a little bit safer, and his offense is explosive. So I definitely feel like if you're trying to debate between Goff and Brissett, which is the question, you could say Brissett's higher risk, higher reward. You're dealing with the Cardinals organization. But I do believe Goff is probably going to give you a safer floor. There's no sort of concern about him being in or out of the lineup. Probably not Brissett either, but it's just the Cardinals that concern me greatly. But I do like both of them. I think that, Goff, a lot of it has to do with is he outside, because when he plays outdoors, he's awful. And then the next week, Goff has 4 or 5 touchdowns. But Goff is going to have, I think, a good, strong finish to the year. And this is a backup for you. And so I think for me, it comes down to who's more likely going to be there when it counts for that one game you may need them. Probably going to be Goff. But Brissett is nice. There's nothing wrong with Brissett. There's that whole thinking of like, okay, when Fitzpatrick would come in, he'd be good for 2, 3, 4 games, and then he'd putter out. Joshua Dobbs, ironically, a Cardinal, example, but then he went over to San Francisco. Joshua Dobbs, he'd come in, do good for 2, 3, 4 games, then putter out. Look at Flacco, comes in, looks like a world star. Like, did anybody in here think, and you could be okay, it's okay to admit it, did you think Flacco was going to be 403 touchdowns every single game? What did he do last week? So I'm not saying Brissett won't putter out, but there is some thinking that, like, okay, you don't know. There's a reason Brissett hasn't started in the league for a long time, and we wonder, does he get figured out? Teams, defenses, they come for a quarterback differently 3 weeks in. That they have no film on. It usually is the case when there's no film on the player, really, at least in that offense, in that situation, or the teams aren't prepared, or these specific players have not prepped for Brissett, and now they're starting to prep for Brissett. It's all very different. It definitely gets the honeymoon phase could end for Brissett, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it will, but when you have Goff is a little bit of a safer option. And then it's all those indoor games versus the outdoor games, which is for Goff's advantage. Okay, back to this $20 hauler. I'm sorry, Onion. 14-man, 6-4, 1 flex QB. Good luck getting that. If it's me, I am trying to trade. I like your team though. I am trying to trade Garrett Wilson and like BTJ, and let's call it like. Let's say you could trade Rico or Bucky. You'd have to go get Bijan. You'd have to go get Achane. I think Rico is honestly, truly, outside of the top 5 running backs, he's one of my very favorite in that 6 to 10. So it's hard to upgrade him. If you're not getting Achane or Bijan, then I don't know that I even want to trade him. And JT, obviously, but I don't think you're getting JT. Now, you throw in another piece, maybe. Try throwing Garrett Wilson. Let's see if your idea works. I still don't think it's going to work, but throw in BTJ or Garrett Wilson with Purdy and Rico and see if somebody bites. But, bro, I don't understand. You're going to have to give up Dart or Burrow. You're going to have to give up Burrow. And Anya, before you say, well, I don't want to give up Burrow, then you don't want JT. Like, I'm not even saying you're going to get JT with this, but you're trying to get stingy with Purdy. Like, throw him Joe Burrow off of today's news. You want JT, bro. Don't start penny pinching with your team. Trade Burrow and Rico and Garrett Wilson for JT. Like, at least give yourself a shot, because Purdy and Rice, he's going to slam the door in your face. And then if you try and up it, he's going to say no. He's already in the business of saying no. So if you're going to try and swing and you think you can swindle this guy, at least give him Joe Burrow and Garrett Wilson with Rico to see if you can get it done. You know what I'm saying, Onion? Bring the thunder or don't even try. Otherwise, you're just going to get a no. Would you trade Bijan for James Cook and Dowdle, or Chase Brown and Dowdle? Yes. And would I rather have James Cook? Probably James Cook and Dowdle over Chase Brown and Dowdle. But I do like Chase Brown and Dowdle as well. It's a really, really solid move. Now, I would say if you're winning, maybe don't, if you're like 8 wins, 9 wins, you maybe hesitate and say, why am I going to try and change what isn't broken? But maybe Bijan starts to lose some value. That's the only reason why I maybe do that. Watson, Singletary, and if you can't use both those running backs, then don't do it. Like if you're creating a problem for yourself where you're now like sitting a really good player because you made this 1-for-2 trade, then don't do it. Watson, Singletary, or Pearsall in the flex. Singletary's probably your safest. Watson's your highest risk, highest reward. I wish there was an easier answer, but there just isn't, because Watson could get you 2 points or he could get you 2 touchdowns. Dino with a $20 hauler. Dino, appreciate
Alert.
you.
Super chat alert.
Dino, my man. Dino says 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, flex league. Who to drop for another player or stand down? Josh Allen. Who to drop for another player? Josh Allen, Ibuka, Lamb, Ladd, Pearsall, Judkins, Dowdle. Tyler Warren, Debo, Watson, Kamara, RJ Harvey, Bucky, Herbert. I mean, first of all, you have to tell me who you're picking up, Dino. You can't just give me like half the information and be like, who do you drop? Like, I can't tell you I drop one of these guys unless I know who I'm picking up. Let me just put it this way. Your worst player, your very, very worst player in this, what appears to be a 4-man league, is probably Watson. So would I drop a player? Maybe. Who would it be? Watson. It's not going to be Harvey. Hell no. But Watson is your worst player. So if I'm isolating it and you're going to make the call, you want to drop somebody, you've already set yourself, you set your mind to it. Watson. He's a good player, though. You'd have to really be able to pick up someone solid. And if you can, then I'd be fine with that. I have May, Herbert, Burrow, Ibuka, Sutton, Jacoby, BTJ, Johnston, McBride, Bijan, Kyron, Jalen Warren, Rodriguez. Any trades? Why is this listed so out of order? Okay. Bijan, Kyron, fantastic. Just trying to piece this team together. You wrote it. Jalen Warren's solid trade piece. Let's see here. Burrow. I assume it's one QB. If it is, then you're trading Burrow or May or Herbert. In my opinion, you're going to a QB needy team. Now that will determine what's available to you. But Buka and Sutton are mother freaking decent, considering you've got McBride, Bijan, Kyron, solid squad. I don't think there's much to trade other than getting rid of one of the QBs with Johnston, with Sutton, with BTJ, with maybe Kyron. If you could upgrade Kyron into an A-chan or higher, would I give the quarterback in Sutton up, or the quarterback for that? Absolutely. Very, very rare number of players, though, that are above Kyron, so you got to be careful. And would I potentially do some sort of 2-for-2, though, like where I'm trading Kyron straight across for an even Steven Dowdle, and then taking my Burrow or my Herbert or my May and getting Adams or something? That would be the most ideal situation. I got to ask Kyron for a Amon-Ra. I would take Amon-Ra. But the problem is, then you're left with Jalen Warren, which, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have Buka, you're going to have St. Brown, you're going to have Sutton, then you're going to have Jalen Warren, who's capable. I don't know if you could pick up Gainwell. I mean, it's just balancing the scale a little bit differently. You're relying on Jalen Warren, but if you're not relying on Jalen Warren and you're relying on Kyron, then you're relying on a wide receiver 3 like Johnson or BTJ. So, like, whatever way you turn, you're still relying on something that maybe you're not super uber confident about. So at the end of the day, just take the better player. And while I love Kyron, I do think St. Brown is the better player. But I'd try to do some sort of 2-for-2, bro. Go to the QB needy teams and try and use that leverage. Or let's say you do the St. Brown trade. Now try and leverage the QB and Jalen Warren, and maybe you throw in Sutton or whatever to get that Kyron Williams running back type of player back. So if you do 2 trades, then you're in the money, bro. That's probably what I would do. 2 trades to execute, okay? Have Burrow send Lamb, Hampton, Tyler Warren, and May for JT, Rome, Gadsden, McLaurin. Woo! Okay, so Lamb, Hampton, Tyler Warren, and May for JT, Rome, Gadsden, McLaurin. Chat, what do you think of this? This is a mind bender. He's got Burrow. Does he trade Lamb, Hampton, Tyler Warren, and Drake May for JT, Rome, Gadsden, McLaurin? I'm going to say I think you should trade one of your quarterbacks, but I don't know if this is the right trade. I mean, I want JT, believe me, but I do look at this JT side and I go JT, Rome, Gadsden, McLaurin in a scale weighs, let's just call it, let's just call this like 300 pounds here. And then you throw this other side in the scale, Lamb, Hampton coming back, Tyler Warren, Drake May, and it's like it weighs like 450 pounds versus the 300 pounds. Like the scale's like, it doesn't mean that like you can use these two quarterbacks, et cetera, but you trade one of them, my boy, with Hampton, and maybe you get a RB like Achane or Bucky or something like that. James Cook potentially. Hampton and quarterback for James Cook if you wanted to trade for a guy like that. I definitely feel like Chris is not the craziest trade in the world in a vacuum, but for your team, for what it does for you, I think I'd rather just sell one of the quarterbacks in a different way. I'm going to say no on that one. I know JT's an attractive player to get, but can you win with just JT? No. So you have to make sure you're not making a bad trade just to get the big name. Plus, you get none of those JT points that he scored, so you have to keep all that in mind. That you just got to even the scale out. 9-2, first place, 12-man PPR league. 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. Have Hurts, Devontae, Olave, Debo, Michael Wilson, Booty, CMC, Genty, Emmanuel Wilson, Sean Tucker, Kittle. What changes would you look to make and gear up for the playoffs? You're 9-2, so things have been going good. Don't try and fix too much. Olave's been playing great. Hurts, Devontae Smith is probably going to get, I think, better. CMC, Genty. Obviously, if you could trade like Genty, let's say you could trade Genty and Olave for one slightly better running back, and you could roll. You'd be rolling a little light at wide receiver, though. I still entertain CMC trades if the price is right. If you're going and getting something that you could settle on and be happy with, even if Christian McCaffrey does not get injured and plays the way he's been playing the rest of the season, if you can be happy still with the end result, then that means you made a good trade. So if you were wanting to potentially go get, let's say, a Buka and an Achane, or you're able to get a Bucky and a Nico, that could potentially put you in a sense of balance that makes you feel pretty good. But I would definitely explore trying to get rid of Genty and a Olave for a running back. But it does put you in a kind of a tight spot at wide receiver because you'd have Debo, Devontae Smith, and Michael Wilson. So any way you look at it, it's kind of hard to upgrade unless you're using that CMC for the 2 monsters that you'd be plenty happy with, even if Christian McCaffrey continued to ball out. If you can't say, yes, I love my trade no matter what, you made the wrong trade. You can't. You've said it all year. If you're going to trade McCaffrey, you're trading him for 2 pots of gold, 2 guarantees, so that if McCaffrey doesn't slow down, you're still plenty happy. If you can pull that off, you try it. But I do worry about doing any trade at all. You could try and trade Hurts down to a quarterback, then get that extra wide receiver or something. You could look to do 2 moves, Genty and like an Olave for 1 running back, and then trade Hurts down slightly. Go to Lamar, take a risk on Lamar, who's injured, and then maybe you're getting an additional wide receiver. Could take 2 trades, Jacob, if you were to go that route, but that's how I probably attack it. See if I could do it that way. Drop Watson for Slayton, Booty, Higgins, Jaden Higgins, or Burden. I would say no. Convince me to trade London for Trevion Henderson. Well, London has a knee injury, and you don't know how long he'll be out. And Henderson scored 5 touchdowns in 2 games, has 260 total yards in 2 games, is averaging 4.9 yards per carry in 2 games. Is there risk? Yes. Stevenson limited today. Not looking promising for this week, but still more days to come. Could Henderson lose carries to Stevenson and we watch Vrabel? And can we picture screaming and yelling at this situation going, what are you doing? Yes, it's possible. I certainly am not sitting here going, there's no world we're not screaming our lungs out. Why Vrabel is going back to Stevenson. It's certainly possible, but right now, Thomas, if you can win without London, or even if you lose, you're fine. London might be safer 2 weeks from now. Maybe not. Hendy could be a top 5 running back going forward. Look, I wouldn't put it past Vrabel to not see the situation the way that it should be seen, but it's hard to say. I would say give me Hendy. Hey, Smitty, from JT trade earlier, have Gibbs, Buka, Hendy, Benson as well. Chris, it doesn't help me stand alone as a question. I don't have your super chat up anymore, but JT trade earlier, you have Gibbs, Buka, Hendy, Benson as well. So in that one, I think you got to put everything in the one super chat, bro. But I would say from what I remember on your trade, you were going to have a very small, limited team if you gave all that up for JT. So you'd have, if you did do that, you'd have JT, Gibbs, Buka, Hendy, Benson. Pretty good. But I still don't think I'm doing that trade because you're losing. I think it was Lamb and bro, it goes in one of your May, Lamb, Gadsden. There was all those players involved. I don't know, bro. I still think there's a better trade for you out there because you were giving up way too much. But that's a solid team. Like if you did that trade, I wouldn't send you on a lap or anything. That team, JT with those guys is pretty damn good. But I just wonder if you'd have a better team. Traded my Pickens and Sutton for Amon-Ra. Actually, Chris, I think it was Jaylen Warren you were giving up to, right? So you have, Jaylen Warren was a tough player to trade as well. Traded my Pickens and Sutton for Amon-Ra. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with either side. Like I like the Pickens side a lot right now, but I'd rather take Amon-Ra. Flex League, assuming Dart plays, start 2. May, Dart, Brissett. May. You don't sit May. But Dart, Brissett, I'd probably go Brissett right now. Coming off the injury for Dart, coming off the big games for Brissett, I think I ride the Brissett train right now. I mean, he's just throwing for so many yards. And you know, there's no MHJ again, but he did pretty good last week, and Michael Wilson's going to have another big game. Ladd Judkins for BTJ Bucky. I'd rather have... Wow. Chat, vote on this one. Ladd Judkins or BTJ Bucky. Can I please get at least 10 votes on this one? Ladd Judkins or BTJ Bucky. Much depends on if you can... I mean, we're waiting on Bucky news. It could break at any moment. We're just on pins and needles about it, and we don't really have any sort of lean right now unless it's happened while I've been live. But I'm scrolling through here and I don't see anything. I don't know, bro. I probably lean toward we don't know what's like. If Bucky were announced back this week, I think I could lean Bucky's side. I could, but because we don't have that information and it's safer to say he's out one more week, I want Ladd Judkins. Now, if you got 9 wins, it might be a different argument, but it's not going to be that different. Should I trade Henry for Nico Collins? I'd rather have Nico. I have Gibbs and Harvey and Hampton. Yeah, I'm fine with that trade. Will Rice finish as a top 3 wide receiver? I think he could. There's no guarantee on it, but I still love Rashee Rice. Anybody that doesn't love Rashee Rice or Buka, like one guy in my comments was like, "Is the Buka hype dead?" It's like, what are you talking about, bro? Should I trade Kyron for Olave and Kamara? No. I don't even care what your team is. It's a horrible trade. Doesn't matter. Like the reason I stop on that sometimes is like no roster should dictate that you do a bad trade. But I did it because Smitty, let me tell you why I did it. Whenever someone calls in and goes, Smitty, now I made this trade, but listen to why I did it. You're trying to soften the blow. Like you should never have to say, but the reason I did it, because I did this, but let me show you this. None of it matters. Don't do a bad trade. Trade Cook for Achane or Judkins and Devontae Smith for Achane. I would do any one of those for Achane. Would I rather trade Judkins and Devontae Smith for Achane and keep Cook? Yes. So I would say that. So in recap, everybody, anybody that's late, let me just tell you what's going on here. We'll just do a little summary of everything. Simi Valley says trade my London and Genty for Bijan. I'd rather have Bijan in a heartbeat. That is one of the trade for. Again, this board, it's very important to understand the context of this board. I feel like some people are not going to. You sell Bijan if you can. You hold Bijan if you can't sell him for the world. And you buy the hell out of Bijan from people freaking out. And Simi Valley's trade right here is a freak out sesh. Where is it from this guy? I mean, it's a pretty decent. I mean, on face value, you get London, Genty. These are big names, right? But London's injured. Genty's playing like trash, and it's not his fault at all. But it's the way it is. His line is awful. You're buying Bijan at a discount. You shouldn't be able to get Bijan at this price tag. But again, same thing. Jamar Chase. You sell him for the world. You probably can't buy him any longer. He's a universal hold now with Joe Burrow inching back into the lineup. But would I trade him for Rice straight up? Yes, because if I can't afford him to miss week number 12 because he's suspended, then I trade him for Rice or Buka. I trade him for Adams and a +1. But universally, you're holding a Bijan. Universally, you're holding Bijan as well. Okay, for the most part, you're holding. For the most part, you're selling London. For the most part, you're selling. You're going to sell Genty. So universal sell on London, universal hold on Bijan, universal hold on Jamar Chase, universal sell on Genty. The other aspects, buy or hold, sell, if they're not circled, are dependent on your situation and if you can have somebody get like, itchy to trade and you take advantage of them. Offered Woody, Judkins, Debo for Jamar Chase. Like, that is a perfect trade. I'd take Jamar Chase. What do you think? Already Buka. That's a fantastic trade. That's where you're getting somebody to freak out when they shouldn't be freaking out, and you're getting Jamar Chase on a buy, which is rare. It's rare to buy Jamar Chase off of a damn Burrow news like this. I mean, that's fantastic, bro. Burrow, to sum up everything, Burrow is 50-50, I would say. My arbitrary number is 50-50 that he plays. I would say, why didn't you go live on Penix Jr.? John, why are you always complaining? Why are you always complaining, John? You're always complaining in here about something. Like, you've been put in timeout more than most people I know. You're always complaining about something. I'm here live as soon as the Joe Burrow news breaks. And the thing out of your mouth is, why didn't you go live with Penix Jr.? We already covered Penix Jr. Like, Penix Jr. was pretty much out for the year. I've already done multiple live streams on it. We went live the moment it happened because he's a partially torn ACL. He's done. He's not coming back. That was already known. What am I going to go live on going live? I'm not going to go live on that going live and reconfirm it. And everything is a defense with you. It was just a simple question. I was just saying this. Just because you explain it, John, doesn't mean it's still not a negative thing. You can have an explanation for it all you want. I'm just saying this. It's just my opinion. You can say all these things over and over, but doesn't change them, John. If I said I had a tail, doesn't mean I have a tail. We'll be back at 8 p.m. Eastern. Joe Burrow practicing in full does not mean he plays week 12, but it's a great sign for him almost being a lock for week 13, and it still means he could play week number 12. We'll be back at 8 p.m. Don't forget to get on over to the live Patreon, 24/7, 365 live chatting. Here is that link right here. Smash the link. Do it live. Get into the live chat group. It's $10 a month only. A lot of Dynasty content's tied to the Patreon. Going forward, you're going to have Dynasty gems and nuggets handed out, and then the live streams will occur off of those early gems. There'll be video uploads, live streams on Patreon, exclusive, a lot of early stuff. Hey, bold prediction is going to drop. Here's what I'm going to talk about. And then we go live on YouTube and drop it, but you're going to have all the inside backstage. Think of it like a backstage, especially Dynasty, backstage, early, advanced information platform on top of being a 24/7 live chat group. How can you get better than that for $10? The answer is you can't. I'll see you all at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, John, you always defend yourself. Like, I'm not hating on you, John, or Freezy, but like, John, you're always hating, and you say you aren't, and so you act like you're not. Just because you say you're not hating does not mean you're not hating, John. And you can say hating and disagreeing are two different things. Doesn't make what you're doing not hating, John. I know you keep saying it, but what you say doesn't just make it true, John. Over and over and over again. You've been timed out more than anybody I know. And everything's me flying off the handle. Look at you, John. You flew off the handle for asking a simple question. I did nothing wrong. You always have an excuse. I did nothing wrong. I didn't say anything. John, you're always complaining. That's the problem. You did nothing. Oh, okay. Again. Here's the thing is Freezy's right. Freezy's not trying to hate on you right now, but he's right. You knew what you were doing. Asking about Penix Jr. Why aren't you going live on Penix Jr. in the middle of the Joe Burrow situation is your subtle way of saying, Smitty, why aren't you going live all the time? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't we doing Dynasty? Why isn't this a Dynasty show? Why are we doing this? You're constantly complaining. Then you come in and go, I'm always a supporter. I'm the best guy ever. I'm not even saying anything. It's just a simple question. Disagreeing is not hating. Like you, John, you can explain it all you want. Doesn't make it true. Just be positive. Just be positive for once. Like, hey, Smitty, this is great. This Joe Burrow live stream is amazing. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. That means we'll be back here in roughly an hour and 2 hours and 20 minutes for the 8 p.m. show. We're live at midnight Eastern every single night practically. So we'll be live again tonight after the 8 p.m. show. So 2 live streams to go. Buckle up, Buttercups. We got a wild ride. Joe Burrow back at practice, fully practicing. Chase Brown. Jamar Chase on the rise too, but again, a sell if you can't afford the suspended Week 12 L that he's going to bring you. These are your options if you're in that boat and only in that boat. Joe Burrow.
The stack above all stacks. It's time to drop the pancake emojis in the live chat.
People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember.